Welcome Medill. We are going to kick off the 2022 Terry Fox School Run. It's been 42 years since Terry's Marathon of Hope, and we are proud to be carrying on this tradition again at our school. Despite the challenges that Terry faced, he never quit. He set the bar high for himself when he started this Marathon of Hope, saying, "Nobody is ever going to call me a quitter." He never quit in his effort to help others suffering from cancer, and neither will we. To begin our assembly, Medill, we're going to watch a quick 10-minute video created by the Terry Fox Foundation called Anything's Possible.
This afternoon at 2:45 in St. John's Harbor, Terry Fox dipped his foot into the waters of the Atlantic Ocean.
When Terry Fox was 18 years old, doctors discovered cancer in his right leg. It would change his life and change Canada forever.
And one morning I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. That day they told me I had a malignant tumor and that I had to have my leg amputated in 4 days. And I decided after my year and a half of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada and raise as much money as I could.
When he first started the run across Canada at the age of 21, almost no one noticed. He ran alone, 42 kilometers a day, a full marathon on one leg, every day of the week.
He endured every type of weather in Newfoundland. There was rain, sleet, and snow. Because he was running westward, Terry was often running directly into the wind. Terry loved the early morning, so he would often get up at 4 a.m. anyways and start running and get a few miles in, stop for breakfast, and then he would finish the rest of his miles off.
His best friend, Doug Allward, trailed in a van behind him. He ran from Newfoundland towards his hometown of Vancouver, where he planned to finish the run and pour water he collected from the Atlantic into the Pacific, symbolically uniting our country.
The prosthetic that Terry had was actually a walking leg. Back in the 1980s, people didn't run on prosthetic legs. Running on his prosthetic leg was incredibly painful for Terry. His stump would chafe and bleed.
I don't run a normal technique. I have to take an extra hop on my real leg in order to have time for my artificial leg to come through.
He set many goals for himself, and he had to work incredibly hard to achieve them.
When I'm running each day, I take one day at a time. When I'm running, I take 1 mile at a time, and I take one corner at a time. Every signpost, I'm looking at it and reaching out for that signpost. Every corner, I'm reaching out, and this is the type of thing I'm thinking of when I'm running.
The night before Terry's operation, I visited Terry. It was just him and me in his hospital room, and all I could think of saying to Terry at the time was, "Terry, why do you have to have cancer? Why not me? Why not somebody else? Why you?" And Terry's answer immediately was, "Why not me, Fred? I've been told all my life I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest or the smartest. This is just another challenge I have to overcome."
Terry's determination began to pay off. People began to take notice. When running through a town of 10,000 people, he raised $10,000, $1 for every person. He changed his goal of raising $1 million for cancer research to $24 million, $1 for every Canadian.
So when Terry was in hospital, one of the nurses thought that it would be better for him to be placed in the children's ward. He was surrounded by kids who were suffering from cancer as well. Those are the faces that he never forgot.
I'm crying now because there's somebody here right now who is going through the same thing that I went through. Exact same thing, and he's only 10 years old. And I had the most inspirational day of my life today.
At the time of Terry's diagnosis, his chance of survival was around 50%. Had Terry been diagnosed a few short years earlier, he would have been faced with a 30 or 35% chance of survival. It was right there that Terry learned the importance of cancer research and raising money to find a cure for cancer.
You know, sometimes I have to run in a lot of pain and I get pretty tired. But I don't feel any pain when I get support like this. So you're fabulous. I'd just like to thank you for that.
The support kept growing. News media across Canada began to cover Terry Fox's Marathon of Hope with daily updates of where he was. From stadiums to city centers in the heart of Canada, thousands went out to meet him, and donations towards cancer research began to pour in.
Terry wasn't running across Canada to become famous or to become rich. He wanted to make a difference in other people's lives.
There was absolutely no question that this was some iconic event that was happening. Talking about cancer publicly was something that really wasn't done very much. He made it okay to talk about cancer. And that was the first most important step to then allow the rest of the population to do what needed to be done to start thinking of raising funds for cancer research.
Researchers across Canada have devoted their lives to learning what cancer is and how to cure it.
We have lots of cells in our body, and what happens with cancer cells is they forget to grow up. They just start dividing and making more and more of themselves and become a huge lump. And that lump essentially is cancer.
Today, thousands of schools across Canada raise money for cancer research by participating in the Terry Fox Run.
When I say Terry, you say Terry! Terry! I'm a cancer survivor of the same cancer that Terry had, called osteosarcoma.
My dad and I were about to go out fishing when he noticed one of my shoulder blades was visibly much larger than the other. That was the night that they told me that I had a form of bone cancer in my right shoulder blade. Terry said that I remember promising myself if I should survive, then I'll prove myself deserving of life. And that was something that I carried into my own journey.
More money equals more research. More research equals more hope. There are so many other Canadians who are dealing with their own battles in cancer, and that's why we need to fundraise to help those people.
There were a couple of nights where I had woken up feeling pain in my hip. My mom took me to the family doctor after school one day. They transferred us to Sick Kids where they found out that I had leukemia.
One of the most common child cancers is called leukemia, which is a cancer of the white blood cells, the cells that fight infections. Around the time that I was born, only 2% of children with leukemia survived, and now over 90% did.
I started to feel better actually pretty soon. It was only like a year later that I started going back to hockey and running around.
Terry had a dream of running from one end of Canada to the other. He took a long and winding route through the country and had run over 5,000 kilometers. He was just east of Thunder Bay, Ontario, when things started to change.
Terry knew earlier on that something was wrong. It was very rare for him to want to go and see a doctor. So when they stopped in Thunder Bay, everybody knew that something very serious was happening.
I had noticed a little bit of hardness in breathing. Near the end of the day, 18 miles, I was coughing and choking and had pain in my neck and my chest. And I did 3 more miles and I decided I had to go see a doctor. And it was discovered then that I had primary cancer in my knee 3.5 years ago. And that the cancer had spread. And now I've got cancer in my lungs. And we got to go home and try and do some more treatment. But all I can say is if there's any way I can get out there again and finish it, I will.
Terry had to stop the run and fly home to Vancouver to undergo more cancer treatment. At 22 years old, Terry became the youngest person ever to be awarded the Order of Canada, an award that recognizes outstanding achievement and dedication to the service of our country.
Terry Fox's courage in embarking on the Marathon of Hope has won him the admiration and affection of Canadians from coast to coast.
9 months later, he would pass away in the hospital.
I've said to people before that I'm going to do my very best to make it. I'm not going to give up, and that's true. But I might not make it, and if I don't make it, the Marathon of Hope better continue.
Terry reached his goal of raising $24 million. In honor of his legacy, the Terry Fox Foundation was born, with a mission to fundraise for cancer research to ultimately find a cure.
What is the future looking like? Very bright, I would say. I know researchers are getting closer and closer every day to hopefully one day find that ultimate cure.
80% of the children that I treat are cured of cancer. And until this 80% becomes 100%, we will have not achieved what we need to. And that is what cancer research will help us accomplish.
We hope you enjoyed that video and feel inspired to take on this year's Terry Fox School Run. I know I feel motivated. Our event is an opportunity to take action, to show leadership and set examples of compassion and kindness towards others. Just like the video says, we can make a difference in the lives of those fighting for cancer if we try. Unfortunately, we probably all know someone with cancer, whether it's a family member or a friend. We're all touched by cancer in some way, and now it's up to us to show how much we care. Today, we'll take a look at the route, and we have it here on the screen to show how we're going to begin. We're going to go out past the tennis courts, and you'll meet Miss McGinnis and Miss Burbage to cross the road at John Street. We're going to stay on the same side, the opposite side of the hospital, walking along the sidewalks, and there we'll meet Miss Maring and Miss Sebastian to cross the street over Patrick Street. Mr. Mercer will meet us at Boland Street and help keep up steam. And you'll see Miss Jackson at the path, turn left on the trail by the condominiums. Mr. Meekins and Mr. Carter will meet you at Catherine Street to keep you on the trail. And Miss Johnson will help you cross Suter Street and keep going until you see Miss Eisenprice and Mr. Donnelly at the main street to cross the road. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone, but once you get cross Main Street, as we're coming up here, you'll come to the start of the trail, grades 7 and 8. This is where you'll see Mr. Prout and Miss Tinsley. Grade 9 through 12s, you will continue on, cross the bridge as the 7/8s will too after they've checked in with Tinsley and Prout. We then go down the trail, and excuse the video, it was a little bit cloudy out, so it got real dark. From here, we're going to take a look at the check-in points. Along the route, there are going to be check-in points for every grade. So as you see here at the very bottom, the school, you're then going to tour past point 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you catch the trail, and you're going to travel along the trail all the way past 4, 5, 6, and 7. And number 7 is where you'll see Mr. Donnelly and Miss Eisenprice to help you cross Main Street. We're going to be very mindful of traffic today, trying to stay on the path and the sidewalks to keep us safe. Check-ins. To make sure that everyone is accounted for and that we are all safe, we've asked for the following grade check-ins. Grade 7/8s, you're going to check in with Mr. Prout and Miss Tinsley. You'll see them just before that rail bridge, and you'll check in with them on the way past the rail bridge and then again on the way in. Grade 9s, you're going to check in with Miss Hayes and Mrs. Ellis, and that's going to be on the other side of that rail bridge right by Westcast. Grade 10s, you'll check in with Mr. Kovacs just past Miss Hayes and Miss Ellis. You're going to keep going past them down the trail, and on the other side out, you'll find Mr. Kovacs. Grade 11s, you're going to keep going past Mr. Kovacs, and you're going to see Mr. McKegg and Mr. Pools around the Canadian Crane portion of the trail, and you're going to check in with them. And lastly, grade 12s, you're going to check in with Mr. Klassen at the end of the trail where it meets Victoria Street to turn left and go across the bridge. We also have an alternate you're all right. We also have an alternate route for those that wish to stay at Medill or who don't have their walking forms in. Those students who don't have their forms in or who would rather stay at Medill, you are asked to head on down to the track when we step out, and you will complete your run there. Miss Trick is who you'll see there to check in with. And lastly, when everyone returns, we ask that you go to the main doors and you're going to check in with Miss Wright and Miss Finch to finish off your run. Just a few other things of note. Please, again, bring your water bottles, take your time, but remember, when you're back, we're thinking 11:30, it'll be time for lunch, and periods 2, 3, and 4 will happen after lunch. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask those people along the routes. We are there to help and have an awesome time. Remembering that as you come back, you're going to return just past the same, going past the same route you went out and heading up to the school. Lastly, one of my favorite quotes from Terry is as follows: "I want to set an example that will never be forgotten. By participating in our Terry Fox event, we are continuing in Terry's footsteps and helping people that are fighting cancer." Thank you for watching today. Now let's give it our biggest try ever and come together for cancer research. Take lots of photos, hashtag Try Like Terry or Medill Terry Fox Run. Be safe out there, have fun, and wait for your teachers to dismiss. We'll head out the main doors, just like the video, past the tennis courts and head on down Carling Terrace. Thanks, Medill.